so I'm back. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can, okay. I am back online. Alright, well, learning curve. Alright, so, those of you who were here watching, hopefully you'll be able to come back and see this on a replay. But anyway, hi, I'm Ernest Williams, starting my show, the Ernest Williams Tango Show. I'm excited about what's going to happen, what I have in mind, what other things are going to happen that I don't know what's going to happen, like technical difficulties at the very outset of my very first show. Okay, well, things happen and we move on, right? Great. So, I wanted to explain to you why, okay? Why am I doing this show? This show is going to be something that allows us, people who are interested in tango, people who have heard about the word tango, and people who are actually dancing tango or teaching tango or anything else that has anything to do with tango. Hey, this is a place where you can talk about stuff. I'll be showing you some things. Not only will I have this particular show that's scheduled, but I'll also have some impromptu things that will be on Facebook, on YouTube, okay? You can follow this episode or this series on my Ernest Williams Tango page, okay? You might find it in some other pages or what have you, but I want you to like my page, Ernest Williams Tango, and everything that I do regarding this show is going to find itself on that page. But you can also follow me on YouTube, and I have another website that's going to be coming out that won't be just based on me. It'll be based on all dance instructors that join my website that can teach live stream classes to the world, face to face, as well as live broadcasts. And then they can also put in pre-recorded videos for you to learn from whenever you choose. Okay, that's on-demand video. It's called loxystream.com. We have a landing page already in place, so you can go to loxystream.com, and if you're interested, just shoot me a note. Let me know why you're interested, what types of uses you could find for this website. We'll describe more about it later as it comes online. It's still in development, but it's due to come out soon. Anyway, let's get to the topic at hand. What is tango? All right, so tango to me is a lifestyle, okay? It's a dance that has a lot to it. It's a lot of confusion about what it is. Everybody has heard the word, but a lot of people that don't already dance it don't really know what it is, especially here in the United States, okay? In the United States, we have, hold on for a second. In the United States, we have different types of dancing called tango, all right? And a lot of people think of ballroom as tango dancing, okay? So a lot of times when you say the word tango, people have things conjured up that are very different than what actually you might be talking about, right? So when I think of tango, the first thing I think of is the original tango, the original form from Argentina, Argentine tango. Okay? And that's a dance that you can do. Well, we'll talk about that. But you can just do tango. You can be a tango dancer. And that be it. You don't have to do a bunch of other dances. It has enough in its lifestyle, in its intricacies, in its depth, that it could keep you interested for the rest of your life. Ballroom tango is something that it has two different types. You have American style and you have international style. And we are here in the United States, and there are other styles as well. But ballroom style, if you're thinking of, so you think you can, not so you think you could dance. Well, yeah, but Dancing with the Stars, a lot of movies will have different things. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And the competitions that you see in ballroom studios or on TV, this is what you will see primarily. Either international style, so if you're looking at the people and they're going and with the head snaps and stuff like this, you know, if you're like doing this and doing that, then that's international style tango. The other tango, there's a more social ballroom tango when you think of Tango, Tango, and then you're here and it's very statuesque and very poised, and people are leaning away from each other or what have you. Okay, these are what you think of when you think of ballroom tango. Argentine tango is not like that. Argentine tango is more of an embrace, and you're heart to heart, and you're moving as one. You're walking, you're turning around each other. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. Okay? That's within the realm of tango, obviously. So these dances are different enough that they could be different, they could be called different things. So, but there are dances that are more similar or equally as different and actually have different names, like say foxtrot and rumba in the ballroom world. They have similar movements, except that there's Latin motion in the rumba, where there's not so much in the foxtrot. So that's just, but it's different enough to have a different name. Right? So but tango, these two types of tango, or the ballroom tango and the Argentine tango, have very little similarities, but are confusing. Okay? So just understand that that's something that you will have to understand if you're new to tango. Okay? So when people say, oh, I'm not interested in tango. Okay, well, what are you not interested in? Which tango are you not interested in? What is in your mind about tango? Because you may actually be interested in tango, a version of tango, or a dance called tango that is different than what you're thinking of right now. Does that make sense? People, you know, if you're out there, let me know. I'll look for your comments, all right? So, and I will come back if somebody needs me to. That makes sense. And so So what movies and stuff might you find in Argentine tango, or yeah, for tango period? All right. So think of, you know, for ballroom, there are a lot of movies out there that ballroom tango has, or that's a part of. Let me think. You have A Scent of a Woman with Al Pacino, right? He was blind, and then somehow he just knew how to do this tango, and he grabbed this lady, and he did a tango. Well, that was ballroom tango, okay? So if you're not sure, you can check out the scene there. You can probably look it up on YouTube. Then you have, let's say, there was True Lies. Arnold Schwarzenegger's an older movie, True Lies. He did a tango in that movie. There's the Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. And they were up there throwing knives and you know, looking at each other and arguing and dancing tango and being all sexy and all that other kind of stuff. That was cool. I mean, you know, ballroom tango is a great dance. I've done it, the American style, and I really enjoy it. I really do. It's just that, you know, when people think of the word confuses people as to what they're going to experience when they do it, and that's all it is. So there are many other mainstream movies that feature tango, but Argentine tango doesn't have that much representation. There is a move, but you can look up some stuff. So Assassination Tango. Assassination Tango had Robert Duvall. He made the movie. He's an actual tango dancer. So that's pretty cool. He made a movie about an assassin going to Argentina to kill somebody and then falling in love with a lady that does tango and falling in love with tango in the process. So he gets all distracted and stuff, and he's all into tango more than he is into killing people, right? So it has some great scenes in it as far as dancing is concerned. The overall movie, you can look at it and decide what you want about it, but if nothing else, you can look at it and look at some real deal Argentine tango done by some real Argentine tango dancers. Another couple of movies that you will want to check out would be The Tango Lesson. It's an independent movie by Sally Potter. So you can get that on YouTube or what have you, but you want to make sure you get the one that has the subtitles, the English subtitles, because it's in 3 different languages. It's in Spanish, English, and French. So you're gonna miss 2/3 of it if you only speak one of those languages and you don't have the right subtitles. So, and then there's another movie just called Tango. Carlos Saura, Saura. Okay, that's another foreign movie, and you could probably find that. And there are a lot of other foreign movies as well. And whenever there's an American movie that has some tango in it, that's Argentine tango, they do all these like cuts and chops and, you know, all these camera edits that make it seem like they're dancing when they're really not dancing, because it's not easy to just teach actors how to do tango. There's another movie with called Evita, with Madonna playing Evita Perón. We'll talk about her more later, but that features Argentine tango, but again, a lot of chops and stuff, right? Because Madonna is not going to be able to learn how to do Argentine tango in the time it takes to make a movie. So, you know,
And I know, and before I move on with this, not Dance with the Stars, but So You Think You Could Dance. Now these people, these are like great dancers. They learn choreographies like that. And then
they're expected to do it. And they do a lot of different dances. But even when they do Argentine tango, okay, so let me adjust this a little bit. Even when they do Argentine tango, they are doing really little Argentine tango and more tricks and stuff that could be done in any dance. Okay? And I will say, because Argentine tango is not the easiest dance. It can be, but it's not something that you can fake your way through. You do have to learn it. Otherwise, you need a bunch of cameras and you need a bunch of other stuff that is theater arts to make it work. So, I'm sorry, now, so why I'm having trouble seeing some things, so bear with me on that. But anyway, so why is tango so alluring? Okay, but then at the same time it's intimidating. I have a lot of people that say, oh, I would love to do the tango. I always wanted to do the tango. And then I said, oh, well, hey, I have a class on Wednesday in Hyde Park at the Silver Room at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, so you can come and check me out, right? Or if not that, on Thursdays up at the Turkish Cuisine on, 7:30. Come check me out, all in Chicago. They're like, well, that's a little bit, you got to have a partner, and I don't have a partner, so I don't think I'll be able to do it. And it's like, okay, wait a minute, you always wanted to do the tango, but you feel like you have to have a partner. Why? And these people may already do other dances. And they don't even have a partner for those other dances. They just go out and dance. And they learn, they dance with other people. They learn with people, that are unattached, or people, even if they have partners, they can still switch partners and stuff. But for whatever reason, they think tango is something you have to have a partner for, because it's intimate. Okay? And
it's like, well, what do you mean when you say intimate? You have these other dances. You have like bachata, where they're like all up on each other, right? So they're doing all that kind of stuff, but people do it,
and they're like, okay, they grinding on each other and stuff. Salsa can be right? And people still do that. Even with ballroom dancing. Ballroom dancing, you dance like this, people are leaning back. Right? But then their pelvises are really close to each other, and their legs are intertwined like this, and their pelvises are touching, or the hips or whatever are touching. But they don't see that as intimate. And it's not. They're right. It could be if the Latin is done, when they're all, when they're doing all that. That's for show, right? But really what it is, what's so alluring but then intimate about tango is that you're heart to heart, and you're very close in the face to another person. So it's like we have this thing about being close to people. And I'm just having to fix this. But yeah, our personal space is a thing that, depending on the culture that you're from, could be very... It can vary in its distance or proximity that's acceptable, okay? But if you get too close to someone, no matter what country they're from, if they're from Italy or Spain or someplace where they can get close to each other and still it not mean anything special, whereas if you're an American, you get this close, and if you get any closer, it means something. And what do I mean when I say it means something? It means either fight or flight. Well, not fight or flight. Okay, I'm not going to use the other word. It's like, okay, you're either ready to fight if you get too close, or you're ready to kiss. I'll say that, if you get close. Okay? So, it's like, okay, you get into somebody's space, it's like, yo, why are you up on me like that? You know, if you come in an aggressive way, then you within striking distance. I don't like that, back up. Or, yo, why are you all in my space? You trying to push up on me or something? For those who don't know what that means, are you trying to, flirt with me? And whether that's a good thing or not, somebody might be like, oh, they're getting close to me. They must like me. Or whatever. Okay? And that doesn't really, in everyday life, most likely if they get that close, unless you're on a bus, on a subway, and you're like this, and people got to squeeze up all on you, and you're like this, waiting for your stop, then you know the reason that they're there. It's not because they want to, not because they're ready to kick your butt, or trying to kiss you or grope you. It's because they have to. But in dancing, especially Argentine tango, you get really close, and it is intimate. And it feels intimate. It feels romantic. Okay? But you have to understand that it doesn't really mean anything. Okay? It only means that you're going to be intimate temporarily for 3 minutes at a time. Maybe for the course of 9 minutes total with 3 or 4 songs that you dance with that person. Okay? So it's not, a lot of people aren't used to that kind of thing. I mean, they're like, if we get that close, I can't adopt this whole tango reasoning. I can do other dances that are hand to hand, and we're this far away from each other and doing turns and spins and not really looking at each other for too long. Okay, not really focusing on what each other needs, not really focusing on, the intricate movements that, we share. Then you don't have to have a partner. You don't have to be romantically close. You don't have to be any of this kind of stuff. Just spin and do a bunch of footwork and move real fast and sweat. Okay, I got dances I do. I love all that stuff. But some people, that's all they want. And that's fine. That's what is happening. Okay? So just letting you know that, yes, it could be very intimate. Now, what also makes it a little bit intimidating or a little bit different or hard to learn to some. It's pure lead and follow. This dance is. It's like when other dances that like salsa and swing and other dances have a basic pattern that you maintain.
a basic count that you keep doing, and you build the dance on top of that. And there's a lot of times when you can separate from each other and do your thing. Dun, 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 dun. Footwork, or they might call it shines or whatever. You got some together stuff, some kind of touching, hand to hand kind of stuff, and then separate, and then you repeat it. Argentine tango is none of that unless you're performing or something like that. But the regular social dance, you're like this, or a little bit like this, but you are not turning around. You're not switching sides, and not touch. You are always here, right? And then there's no basic step. So you stay within the rules and realm of tango, but is the dance that's closest to pure lead and follow. Okay, so typically the man leads and the woman follows, but you obviously can do what you want. You can play whatever role you want to play, the leader's role or the follower's role. But you need to be very open and receiving as a follower, and you have to be very attentive and responsible as a leader. Okay? Every little nuance is directed by the leader, and the follower responds in kind. Okay? And the leader has to recognize how that follower responds to their signals and work with that. Okay? This is it has a lot of metaphors. Tango is a metaphor for a lot of aspects of life. And we'll cover those things as time goes on. But relationships, driving, and I use a lot of metaphors. So you'll hear me do that. So this is just the type of thing that some people they need patterns, they need structure, they need 1, 2, 3, just something I can repeat over and over again to dance. And Argentine tango is not that.
People, it's like, well, is tango for everybody? Tango could be, but a lot of people, and I'm talking from the American perspective, are not really interested in trying foreign things. And tango has a culture that it's part of. The context is based in Argentina. And that's foreign. They speak Spanish, not even the kind of Spanish you might hear in Puerto Rico or Mexico. They have their own kind of Spanish. Okay? So they are different. Uruguay, we'll talk about that as well, is in that same region. And they both have what they call Castellano or Castilian, like they have in Spain, but it's not even like Spain. It sounds different. So they're unique in a lot of ways. So the music is very different, and it's not R&B, it's not new music. It's going to be some old music from the 1900s, from the mid to mid 1900s, that we dance to today and are happy to do it. And they might be remastered or whatever to add fidelity or what have you, but they're not making any more new classical music. Not classical, but classic tango music. And so we just dance to the thousands and thousands of songs that we love to dance to. So it's not a beat to it. I mean, not percussion, like not a drum. And it varies and it has a lot of instrumentation. And for a lot of people, it just sounds like classical music. And they're not used to dancing to classical music, so they don't know how to move to the song or to the music and interpret the music. So when they hear it up front, they're like, I can't really get with that music. You know, I need a beat. I need something that I already know about. I need something that's familiar already. It's not familiar, okay? But those who are drawn to things that are not familiar are all about it. So, but those who need familiarity are not going to be as interested, right? A little bit about why I got interested. Okay, so first of all, there's not a lot of African Americans that do tango. Not a lot of black people, period, around the world that do Argentine tango. So if I'm saying tango right now, I'm referring to Argentine tango. And it's...
When I started, I was in the military. I was stationed in Monterey, California. And this was in 1999. And there they had swing dancing. I was in a military school there, and they had swing dancing on post. They had the NCO club had, what did it have? It had a salsa night at the NCO club. And then they had a club right off post down the street that had salsa night on Sunday nights. And I had a friend, and she was, you know, in the military with me, and she was into belly dancing and stuff. So I was like, well, I started taking swing dance classes and I had heard about it for months before I decided to take it. And it was, I was like, I don't know if I want to be trying to throw people over my head and all this other kind of stuff, you know. And it just, you know, it didn't appeal to me at first. But then I was bored and I was like, okay, I need to do something after work or school. So I started doing that. And then I had been exposed to salsa a few times in my life before that. So I went to the NCO club, and then when I was allowed to, and then we started doing, you know, some salsa. And then I asked her, I said, well, you know, will you go salsa dancing with me at the club off post on Sundays? And she was like, oh, well, you know, I don't know about that. Sunday night, we got to get up early Monday morning and study and do all this stuff. How about we take a ballroom dance class at the local community college? I was like, ballroom dancing? That sounds not fun, or that's like stiff, you know. And she was like, oh, but she was all cute. She was like, oh, well, no, we can go down. We could do the cha-cha, or the waltz, or, you know, the foxtrot, and, you know, she was all animated about it. So I was
like, okay, all right, I'll do it with you because you make it seem fun. So this was in the fall. Well, this was summer '99. So the fall semester, we took a ballroom dance class. It was Friday evenings, so it worked out. And we did well. You know, we did all the different dances, tango, the ballroom tango, American tango, and, you know, swing and foxtrot and cha-cha and mambo and all those dances, right? And we did well, and we were learning fast, and we were enjoying it. We would practice and stuff. And then we started going out. Well, I wanted to go out dancing, like to a ballroom place to go out dancing. And I asked her to go with me, and she couldn't go because then she got this boyfriend and new boyfriend, and it was her friend before. They decided to up the game, so she couldn't hang out with me anymore. So I was like, okay, so I'm on my own, right? So I went out dancing, and you know, hey, I started doing my thing. And what happened after a few times going out, this lady who, you know, I met out there, she asked me, had I ever done tango, Argentine tango? And I said, Argentine tango? Now, I immediately thought, that sounds cool. I already knew I was doing tango in the ballroom, but we were already out ballroom dancing, and she asked me if I had ever tried Argentine tango. So obviously it was different than the tango I just saw people doing that I was just doing a few minutes ago. And I said, no, but that sounds interesting. It sounds exotic and cool. How do I check that out? She said, oh, well, after this I'm going to this party, an Argentine tango party. You can come and check it out with me. I said, all right, well, before you leave, let me know, and I'll join you, you know?
But she left. And I was like, well, hey, wait a minute. What happened? Okay. So she didn't leave. She didn't take me with her. So I was like, oh, no. Well, then I found a class. What did I do? I was still taking the class, and I found a flyer. You know, like one of those, it's a flyers on campus where they have all the tabs at the bottom. They cut it, this paper, and you pull the tab, it has a number and stuff, and you can, you know, call it. Well, that's what I did. But it was funny, right? This was like the last class of the semester, and we had moved into another room. And for that last class, we were in one room the whole time. Then we moved into this new room, and it was like I saw that flyer on my way out the door. I saw it, Argentine tango classes, and I was like, oh, that's what she was talking about. I grabbed it, I was going to call it, and I lost the number. It was a little piece of paper, I lost it. And I was so upset because I had to wait the whole winter break. So this was what, like before Christmas, and I had to wait until after Martin Luther King birthday to get it. Get back in that room so I can get another little tab and call it immediately. So that's what I did. And I went to a class February, and that was it. I fell in love with it from that point on. And it was a lot of people in the class. They welcomed me. I was younger. I was from the military. They thought I was going to be able to bring all these other guys from the military, young guys from the military. I was like 26 or 27, something like that. And they had about 40 people in the class. It was in Monterey, California. And well, actually the classes were actually in Carmel. And they had one class on Tuesdays. No, they had a class on Thursdays, a beginner and intermediate class, and then they had a practice session on Thursdays. And then every month they had the tango party called the Milonga. So they had the Milonga every fourth Saturday. But anyway, that was how I got into tango. And it was funny, I had this other lady I had met in the ballroom that went with me for the first tango class. And she hated it. And I loved it. So I hadn't seen her since. It was like, oh, well, you go back to ballroom. I'm not going back to ballroom. I'm staying here. Tango. That's it. No more ballroom. So, you know, I didn't know her for that long anyway. But that was just interesting. And that was a different person than the one who had invited me, because the person who had invited me was in the tango class, you know. So that was pretty cool. So I know I'm just talking about a lot of stuff, and you know, sometimes it's just, that's what this is for. This show is to give you some insight into who I am and tango, okay, and some of the issues and things that come up. But if you are out there, I know there may not be a lot of people right now, but if you're watching this on a replay, then, you know, make some comments, you know, ask some questions. I'll look at them and we'll get back to you in another show. Okay? So far we talked about what is tango, what's confusing about the word tango sometimes, and how most people think of what they think of when they think of tango. And, you know, some of the things that tango people think of as far as the intimacy and what's required to actually get involved in tango. And it's not that hard. It's not that scary. It's really something that can be challenging, but it can be really rewarding. It's definitely worth the challenge. So, but why is the history of tango so controversial? And people are like, what? Well, what do I know about it? I don't know much about the history of tango. What's controversial about it? Well, I'm going to touch on the topic, and I'm not a historian. And many of these things that I talk to you about is from my perspective, what in my background and research that I have done, and talking to people and traveling and asking certain questions and reading certain books. This is where, you know, what I've determined is a likely history of the tango. So I want to say, first of all, there's no one source that claims that this is the definite way it happened. Because quite frankly, there are not a lot of records for all kinds of reasons. So people are kind of just trying to piece things together based on their own beliefs. Okay? So, but what people tend to say, well, let me go with, let's first talk about Argentina and Uruguay. So, Argentina and Uruguay. We talk about tango as the Argentine tango. But when you go there, especially if you go to Uruguay, or some people might call it Uruguay, is a very small country that's surrounded by a bigger country, right? So Argentina is the bigger country. Actually, it's two big countries. Argentina and Brazil all occupy the east coast of South America. And they go, like Brazil comes down, and then it'll go around a little bit of something, and then it's Argentina, and then Argentina goes the rest of the way. But that little bit of something along the coast is Uruguay, right? And then over here to the west of Uruguay is Paraguay.
but it's still surrounded by Argentina and Brazil. So there's a river that comes down through Brazil, or between Brazil and Paraguay, and through in between Brazil and Argentina, and then it goes between Argentina and Uruguay, and it's called the Rio de la Plata. It could be translated as the River Plate, and when they say plata meaning plate, the river of silver, plata meaning silver. But it's a river that goes, it's narrow, and then it widens out at the mouth and empties out into the Atlantic Ocean. And so this is one of those things where the Rio de la Plata is a region that tango actually developed in. So, but it's known right now as Argentine tango because Argentina is a big country. Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, or at least the largest city in Argentina, and Montevideo, which is the capital and largest city of Uruguay. Argentina is way bigger. Uruguay has about 3 million people in it. Argentina, I don't know how many millions of people it has. Maybe 100 and something million. Okay? The city in and of itself, probably 15 million or something. You know, or whatever. I'm not sure. But it's a lot bigger. And Uruguayans look at Buenos Aires as the window to the world. So a lot of people that wanted to do something, just like the United States, if you want to make it big, sometimes you think you got to go to New York or LA to make it big in Hollywood or something, in movies and TV or whatever. Fashion, maybe. Well, that's how they felt. In order for musicians, tango musicians from Uruguay, to make it big, they had to go to Argentina to do so. When people thought of tango, they went to where there was most people, and it developed more there. Okay, so it developed from people going to Argentina to create it and to partake in it. So it developed better dancers, the music, you know, there's a lot more music coming out of there, and just the attention went to Argentina. Uruguay has, they call it, the official name is what? La República Oriental de Uruguay, something rather. So basically, Oriental meaning Eastern. So it's the Eastern Republic of Uruguay. And because Uruguay is east of just about everything else, you know, so it's on the East Coast, so they have the word Oriental. So the word Oriental is referred to in their version of tango that they would do. They would do Tango Oriental versus what they would call Tango Porteño. Porteño, or port dweller, or person who lives in a port city like Buenos Aires. You know, they call themselves porteños if they are natives of Buenos Aires. So the Uruguayans will call Argentine tango Tango Porteño, and Uruguayan tango as Tango Oriental, which is Eastern tango, and it's not as developed. But now they do Argentine tango or Tango Porteño, but you know, they still have their own identity when it comes to their beginnings of tango. But as far as the culture, the singing, the music, the everything is very strong in Uruguay, and I would say even more so than in Argentina. But there are a lot more dancers, and everything is just bigger and better in Argentina. So just understand that, and we'll talk about Uruguay more when we talk about candombe, which is part of the roots of tango, and we'll do that in another show, maybe the next show. So now a little bit
about the history. Like, again, I'm not a historian, but I am a person who has asked questions, read some things, and interviewed some people to get a better understanding of the whole, which I think if you're dancing a dance that has a lifestyle attached to it. I'm also a stepper, and I'm living in Chicago, and stepping is a lifestyle as well. I'm sure people might say salsa is a lifestyle. Lindy hop is a lifestyle. You have a certain way of dressing, maybe a certain way of talking, history. You know, ballroom as a whole may be a lifestyle, you know, but it's a lot of different dances. So it's not really the same in that regard. But anyway, when wait a minute, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so when talking about the history of tango, you have to talk about the history of the region, or at least the history of Argentina as it pertains to tango. So people say, okay, well, what's the first question you want to ask about when you're talking about the history of tango? Well, when did the tango start? Well, obviously that's not an easy question to answer, unless somebody just said, well, this person came up with a thing and that was it. You have to say that just organically developed over decades. But from whom? Well, in the 1800s, the 1860s, we start. There was a large influx of immigrants from Europe that came to Argentina by invite of the Argentine government. Now, if there's people out there that have more information, feel free to tell me. You know, talk to us either here or on the page. You know, comment here. But a gist is, started in the 1880s, over the next 20 to 30, 40 years, you had a bunch of men that left their families to come to Argentina to work the land that they were promised and to get rich and be able to go back home. Send money home, go back home, right? Maybe kind of like how a lot of the Mexicans do in the United States. They come to the United States, make money, send it home, or whatever. And that was the promise, because the Argentine government wanted to get more Europeans into this country. Well, as it turned out, there were not a lot of riches to be had. They may have come and worked the land a little bit and maybe got a little plot of land and worked it, but it did not yield enough to get back home even. So these cowboys or gauchos were the ones that they were the first generation of these immigrants. Now there were already people there, natives, or people who had come before that point. You had indigenous people, you had black people that were recently freed, or they were free, or they were still in servitude. And then you had all of these extra people coming into the country. So the gauchos, although people tend to just think of Europeans as gauchos, they came and joined the cadre of gauchos that already existed. So and they were out in the grasslands. They call it the pampas of Argentina. So that's a generation of people, 1860s, 1870s. Then after they realized, okay, no, we're not going home, you got a whole bunch of men, only men, that came to flooded the country in the tunes of tens of thousands of people. So now the male-female ratio was skewed a lot, right? You had a lot more men and the same number of women that didn't change, okay? So the next generation of these people after the gauchos were the compadres. And the compadres, hey, these gauchos had lost their land, so they had to move closer to the city, but they were in the suburbs, the outskirts. And these people were rough and tough and had to be in order to survive. So where the gauchos might have carried big machetes and had done different things, developed their own way of interacting with each other and use different things we'll talk about later. Again, the compadres were, again, rough and tumble, right? And they were not always doing the legal things. They had to, find ways to become, to survive. So they would, do things that were illegal. Maybe they would be pimps and other rough kind of characters, okay? And still fighting over women, or so these guys, they would have to go to the prostitutes and stuff to get attention. And even the prostitutes could afford to be choosy because there were so many more men. All right. The next generation of men, so we're talking maybe 1900s. Okay. These were the compadritos. So you had the gauchos, the compadres, and the compadritos. They were more like the players, the womanizers, the slicksters, okay? And they would move more towards the city. And again, be dealing with prostitutes and stuff. But I'm not saying that these people had a lot of money, all right? So there's not a lot of money being had. So you had, but people talk about the history of tango. They tend to pick a moment. And the moment they tend to pick is, and a group of people they tend to pick are the compadritos. And the compadres / compadritos that would be they would go into these brothels. And the women, they say that the men would learn amongst themselves tango and then go to the brothels to dance with the ladies in the parlor and try to get one of the ladies to agree to go up and go upstairs with them. Okay? So the ladies, just because you came in there and you may have had some money, didn't mean that they were going to do anything with you unless you could dance tango well. Okay? And so they say tango started in the brothels. And people kind of just like, that's the first day, or that's when it started in the brothels. And I'm like, okay, but I have a lot of questions. What's up with the brothels? Where did the ladies learn? You know, who taught them? Okay, at what point did tango become a thing to be done in the brothels? Okay, did somebody have classes in the brothel? What? You know? So it just kind of, you know, drops the beginning of tango right there in some vacuum. It just came out of poof, nowhere. Okay? So, and when anybody asks any more questions or whatever, sometimes people get to, well, that's just what it is. You know, we don't really know anything beyond that. Let's just move on. So, I have more information about that, and I would suggest that you check it out if you're interested. I will give you more. We'll talk about more in the next episode. Okay. So, but just, I want you to understand that this is what most people, if they just put a paragraph in of what the history of tango is, they'll say, well, tango started in the brothels, and they're talking more like in the early 1900s. Okay, late 1800s, early 1900s. So, it's not enough to really understand that and build on your dance of tango. I think that when you are interested in doing something like that has a culture and it becomes a lifestyle, then it helps to know as much about everything surrounding the dance as possible. Not just what's happening right now, but how did it come to be? Why is it what it is? Why are the people that are doing it the ones that are doing it? Okay? What's in store for in the future? Well, to understand more about that, it helps to know more about the history of tango. So the next episode, we're going to talk about the roots of tango and where black people come into the picture, because they do. And I'm not talking about me right now, but I'm talking about at the beginnings, before tango, and what precipitated tango. Okay? So I just want you to know that we're going to start with that next time. But for right now, I want to close this out, and I ask for your feedback. How did this go? Minus the whole technical issues. Is there some information you'd like to know more about? Any feedback on how the show went? What things could be better? Okay, what things went well. I want to make this better for you. And we're going to have more than just me sitting here talking when it comes to this show. We're going to talk about philosophies. We're going to talk about dancing. We do some specific physical dance, concepts and stuff for what I teach my students. Things that come up from classes that I teach that I want to share with you. Insights that I've gained, that my students have gained. Different things. Let me put you onto a resource for the history of tango if you're interested. And actually, let me see if I can change this real quick. And so you can see this. Tango, the art history of love, is a book by Robert Farris Thompson. And I suggest you get that book because it has a lot to do with history. It's not just the art history of love. The first couple of chapters may make you think it's just about the art history of love. But it's, and I just wrote it down for you there. It talks about the roots of tango. It talks about how blacks were part of that. And he's a tango dancer, and he's a white guy, a professor of art history in Princeton University. So he has some clout. He's written books and done research on many aspects of the African diaspora. And tango is just one of those that he's done. So it's controversial, but this guy is not just some buster, some dancer that decided they want to become a historian for tango only. Okay, so he was one of my resources. This book was one of my resources, but not all. And I'll talk to you about my other resources and experiences and interviews and people I've talked to as time goes on. All right, but I want to say thank you for joining me. We're about to sign out. Again, check out, I want to let you know that I have a milonga in Chicago every Thursday. El Inquilinato is the name of it. And you're welcome. You can come out and eat at the Turkish Cuisine is the name of the restaurant. It's 2546 West Peterson. And I'll put that here too. 2546 West Peterson Avenue in Chicago, in the north side of Chicago. It's the Turkish Cuisine. We start class 7:30, beginners class, 7:30 to 8:30, and 8:30 to 9:30 is the intermediate class, and we deal with close embrace primarily, but we do open embrace too for those who need that transition. And each class is $10. And then there's a milonga afterwards. The milonga is a dance party where we just dance tango, eat, and have fun in each other's company. And that starts at 9:30 on Thursdays, 9:30 to 12:30ish. Okay, and that's also $10. But if you come and do a class in a milonga or two classes in a milonga, it's just $20. $20 is the max that you pay. Okay, so if you're interested, come check it out. Tomorrow we'll be there. So if you have any questions, you can write me, you can message me, chat with me, call me, 773-644-1502. Again, it's 773-644-1502. Ernest Williams is my name. This is my first show, the Ernest Williams Tango Show live. And have a good one. See you next time.